Welcome to Character in Action with Matthew J. Norcross, the official podcast of the 7 Degrees of Change Foundation. Come journey with us on the real-life stories of character in action. And now here's your host, Matthew J. Norcross.
Hello and welcome to Character in Action from the 7 Degrees of Change Foundation. I'm Matthew J. Norcross here in the studio with Robbie Dillmore. It's furniture market time again in the city of High Point, North Carolina as of this recording, and many great furniture brands are showcasing some exciting new products, one of which being Ashley Furniture Industries, a family-owned and operated company dating back to 1945. One of the people who makes the magic happen when it comes to Ashley's marketing is a man named Joel Red, who also for the past 12 years has been working for entertainment and hospitality companies in the hospitality capital of the world, Orlando, Florida, including the Walt Disney World Resort, where I worked with him as part of the Disney College program, as well as SeaWorld. He is also a former youth minister. Joel Red joins us here at the studio. Joel, thanks for joining us. Before we get started, can you please tell our listeners more about yourself?
Sure. Matt mentioned I work for Ashley Furniture, and in my role, the marketing specialist, I work mainly in Central Florida and mostly independent furniture dealers on behalf of Ashley, which is a manufacturer. They were a manufacturer first. I know a lot of people know about the Ashley Home Stores, the retail branch of the company, but we've been manufacturing furniture long before those stores were in existence. And kind of my role was to provide service and sales to independent furniture stores in Central Florida. And we help our dealers with, when I say dealers, I mean our furniture stores, with everything from, planning out their floors and their assortments to, flowing goods to them, to helping them come up with the right mix of product, and then helping them figure out how we are going to market to our area the products that they have on the floor, and hopefully, help them with having a lot of sales and having a really great reputation in the area. And so we kind of provide a total service to our customers, to our stores that we service from kind of beginning to end, and helping with all kinds of issues that they have. So that's what I'm currently doing, but I've been on quite a journey. I've had the opportunity, as Matt mentioned, to work at some pretty incredible companies, and before that, I was a youth minister, so I've had the chance to work at Walt Disney World and SeaWorld in the corporate office. And again, when I first came out of college, I was working in youth ministry and working with middle school and high school students. And I think if you'd asked me then, what my career path would have looked like, I never would have dreamed that I would have the opportunity to work for such great companies such as Walt Disney World, SeaWorld, and now Ashley Furniture Industries. So that's a little bit about me.
So how do you define character?
Well, I think character, it's about having a moral compass and a set of guidelines that really define who you are and who you want to be, and then living out those attributes on a daily basis in the way that you interact with people, the way that you care about people, the way you serve people. And then also, it's just about the way that you live your life when no one's looking as well.
Exactly.
Character is at the core of who you are as a person and who you want to be as a person.
I agree with you 100% on that. I've gotten that answer a lot. I got to tell you, I agree with it every single time I hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me personally, I have values that I try to live by. To me, I really feel I'm at my best as a person when I stick to those core values and those beliefs in everything in my life. And again, that's not just when I'm dealing with people in the business world or in personal relationships, but also in the way that I live my life, when I'm alone and no one's looking as well. So those are some important, characteristics to me of what it means to have character.
That leads me to my second question. Please tell us a story of witnessing either in person or in history, someone that was a true phoenix, someone that was a role model, leading by example, and frankly, making the world a better place.
It's easy to think about people that are well known in history or famous, and people that, had true character and that a lot of people know about, like, somebody like George Washington, but when I think about someone who's a true phoenix who led by example and impacted people, for me personally, I kind of, look at it from a personal perspective, right? Because I had a mentor when I was in high school that his name was Gus, and he really cared about me at a time when, high school, teenage years can be confusing. And so I had a guy named Gus that really became a part of my life and became a mentor to me and impacted my life in positive ways. And so, that experience really helped me understand, a lot of the skills and attributes and things that I, had within me that I was good at. And I didn't realize those, maybe, until that time. And so after Gus, I kind of said, I want to do this, for other people. I want to help other people, right? So then that inspired me to try to do the best I could. And that's how I, initially got into youth ministries, because I wanted to inspire people the way that Gus had inspired me. And then from there, I have some people that I've mentored have gone on to inspire others. I mean, Matt, I think you're a great example of that yourself. You and I, met, as you mentioned, at Disney College Program, and now you're doing great things to inspire other people. So, when I think about somebody who's a true Phoenix, I think about somebody like Gus, who impacted me, and then made me want to impact other people, and then hopefully the people that I've tried to impact want to impact other people, and then it becomes this, this chain, right, of people that are inspired by other people that are trying to also inspire other people.
So was there a particular story, like a time that Gus was there for you that, you could relate with our listeners so they could actually hear, I guess Gus's character in action?
Yeah, I mean, see, so Gus worked at a church, the local church in my area, and I went to a public high school. And when I was growing up, me and all of my buddies, we didn't go to church. We were a bunch of public school, wild, heathen football players, and Gus was just a guy that was very genuine and authentic, and he cared about us, and man, we made a lot of mistakes. He came alongside of us and let us know when we made mistakes, but loved us through those mistakes, and really tried to get us to see the potential in ourselves. And man, I know he had a huge impact on me and, quite a few of my friend group. And he said, I'll give you a story. One time he was like, "Hey guys, listen, I work at a church, and I know you guys are new to this thing. And I'd like to just, have a time once a week where we set up a time to meet and just talk about like what's going on in our lives and stuff like that." So all of a sudden, I mean, you had Gus and a group of like 10 public school football players that were meeting at like 6:00 in the morning on a Thursday to just kind of do life together and share what was going on in our lives. And so, that's why Gus sticks out as somebody who had a huge impact on my life, because, man, when I was in high school, I didn't want to get up for anything, but I would never miss that. I would never miss that Thursday morning, group session with Gus and the boys,
Sure had a lot of respect for Gus from the story that you told, and that leads me to my first character question about respect. Now, the age of social media has caused a lot of problems when it comes to having respect to one another, in my opinion at least. How do you think we can rekindle the trait of respect today?
That's a tough question, because there's so many kind of modern issues that have changed the way that we interact and we communicate with each other. And, I think one of the issues is that, when you are interacting with people in person, face to face, right? Mm-hmm. And you're actually walking with them through life, through whatever they're going through, right? There's a certain relationship that's built with technology and social media. In a lot of ways, it's made communication and staying in touch with people, a lot easier than it used to be. But at the same time, sometimes there's not as much genuineness in that, right? And a lot of times people, when they're interacting on social media, right, it's easy to interact with a telephone or a computer screen and lose sight of the fact that there is a person or people on the other side of that phone or that computer screen that are dealing with, the things that you're saying, right? Like, I think a lot of people don't make that in connection. So for me, one of the things I think we can get back to is just to be intentional about relationships that we have and try to make time to spend time with people in person and try to really, make it a priority to have meaningful, friendships and relationships and meaningful connection with one another. I think that's one of the ways that we start to kind of build respect.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. In this age of social media, it's more important than ever to have face-to-face conversations with one another. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, being in the furniture business and being in the hospitality business, you've had a lot of big responsibilities over the years, especially when it comes to the tourism industry, where you spent most of your career, as well as the furniture industry where you are now. What is the difference between the responsibilities you've had in hospitality versus furniture?
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of the responsibilities in hospitality versus, the furniture industry are different, but I think a lot of those same responsibilities that I had in hospitality have really set me up for success in the furniture industry, right? And I'll explain. So let's say that I'm working, back when I was at Walt Disney World, I worked at the Contemporary Resort, right? And I would come in and I'd work my shift. And let's say I had a guest that was upset about something. And, maybe it was they found, something in their room, like that was left by the housekeeper or whatever. And so, I would have to follow up with them and try to resolve that issue. But, that person was staying there maybe for 3 nights, maybe 4 nights, maybe a week, right? So I had to each day just follow up. That was a key part of the responsibility. Was I couldn't just fix it once and then say everything is okay and then forget about it. I had to follow up with that person after it's done, check in the next day, like, hey, this is Joel from housekeeping, just calling to see, how you're doing. How was your room today? How was it clean? And those little follow-ups made a huge difference in the experience that people had while they were on vacation, right? To know that they had an ally that understood what they were going through, that was, also remembered to follow up and check up on them. Those were the things that would make a difference. Well, in the furniture industry, there's a lot of the same thing. My guests, the people that I actually service now are actually owners of furniture stores, and so when they have an issue, follow-up is key for me to say, like, all right, let's say they have something that arrived damaged, right? But maybe they've had a customer that's been waiting on, that set for 3 weeks. And then they finally get it, it arrives, and there's some damage to it, right?
Right.
Well, I can't just wait, I can't just like shrug my shoulders and say, hey, that's not my fault, right? That's not my issue. No, what I do is I try to resolve the issue for them. Okay, do we need to get a part? Do we need to get a credit so we can order another piece? How do we need to follow up and communicate with the customer, which they handle all the communication, but I help them, think through that, how we're going to do that. So, although the responsibilities are different, I think there are principles that I learned from hospitality that carry over into the work I do today, and I think are part of the reason that I've had success in the role that I'm doing now.
That's nice. My next question to you is, how would you define fairness, and how would you want people to demonstrate this trait both in their personal lives and professional lives, especially in the industry you're in, especially since, fairness is a very important trait? And
yeah, I think fairness, right, is about understanding where other people are coming from and then treating them with respect and dignity, with the respect and dignity that they deserve, right?
Right.
Now, a lot of times I think people think about fairness and they think, well, you just treat everybody equal. And I think fairness and equality are related, but they're not the same thing, right? I think fairness is really about treating people the way that they really deserve to be treated, right?
The golden rule.
Where that person is coming from, right? Mm-hmm. So does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so in my industry currently, when I talk about treating my accounts fairly, it is about giving them the same equal opportunity and access to contact me. It's about answering the phone calls when they call me, when they need me, whenever that is. It's about returning emails and text messages and helping them with their issues, you know. Now, within that, I may prioritize some accounts over others. There are maybe some bigger accounts that I reach out to first, right? But I will 100% always treat all of my accounts with fairness. And that means, you know, I do follow up with them. I do answer my phone when they call. I do return those text messages. That is an important part of what I do in my current role.
Very important, that's for sure. A key trait that was very important in the tourism industry, since you and I both worked for when I was at the Disney College program, is trustworthiness. And my question to you is, how do you expect trustworthiness to be learned in the tourism industry, and how do you expect it now in furniture?
Well, you know, trustworthiness is so important, and it's something that is important to me. And, you know, I really strive to be someone that is trustworthy and that people can put their trust in, right? And that takes many different forms, right? It's about when you have a task to do or someone asks you to do something and you say, I will take care of that. It's about not dropping the ball. It's about it's about following up and making sure that if you say you're going to do something, that you do it, right? And, you know, in the hospitality industry, that was big, right? If I had, again, I go back to when I worked in resorts. If I had an upset guest and I said, hey, look, I'm going to follow up on this. I'm going to find the answer and I'm going to get back with you, right? Because at Walt Disney World, they teach us a lot. You don't always have to know the answer to everything, but you always need to make an effort to find the answer and follow up. So I had so many conversations with guests when I was at Walt Disney World where they would ask me something and I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure about the situation. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I'm going to follow up on this. I'm going to try to find the answer, and then I'm going to get back to you. And without fail, it was important to me every time to make sure that I did that because being trustworthy is important to me. In the same way, in the furniture industry now, you know, I provide service to my accounts, right? I am the liaison between the factory and the manufacturer and that account and their customers. So when they need something from me, like they might say like, hey, we had a sofa that came in and there was some damage on it. And we sent a repair person out and they fixed it. And this was the charge. It's still under warranty. And they send it to me. And then I say, okay, I am going to take care of this warranty issue for you. Right.
Right. I
have a system to make sure that I always follow up and close the loop on that. And so I want my dealers, and now I think, built a reputation with my accounts that when they ask me to do something, I follow up, I say I'm going to do it, and I do it. So I think that's gone a long way in my career here at Ashley.
Yeah, it's definitely come a long way, that's for sure. So another aspect when it comes to both of these industries is caring for your customers or for your guests. Now, when I worked with you at what is now known as the Disney's Hollywood Studios theme park, which for all of our listeners who are Disney fans is the third park that opened at Disney World back in 1989, our goal, not just at the parks, but the resort as a whole, was to take care of our guests. But what I want to know is, what does caring mean in the industry you're in now compared to hospitality? What's the difference?
Well, again, there are some differences, but there's a lot of similarities as well, you know. Whenever you have someone, let's go back to the hospitality industry really quick. When you have someone that has decided that they are going to spend their hard-earned money to come to your theme park, to your resort, and bring their family to have a great time, right?
Right.
You have a responsibility to that person to make sure that they have the best experience that they can have, right?
Right.
And we all work towards, you know, I feel like, Matt, you and I, we worked together at Hollywood Studios.
Exactly.
And I feel like we're all working towards that, trying to make it the best experience ever for our guests, right?
Exactly.
Well, in the furniture industry, in my role, again, my guests or my customers are the people that own furniture stores, right?
Exactly.
So when I provide service to them and they provide service to their customers, right, their customers are coming into their stores and are spending their hard-earned money to buy home furnishings, right, to buy a sofa, a love seat, a bed, a bedroom set, whatever it might be, right?
Exactly.
And they have lots of different options. They have tons of different stores that they can go to. And they can go online, and there's thousands of options of things that they can buy for their home. But when they step foot in one of the stores that I service, I want them to have a great experience. If I want their customers to have a great experience, I have to provide a great service and great experience to my customers, which are the furniture store owners. So we all have to kind of be working with the same goal in mind, which is to create a great shopping, a great retail, a great service experience. I have to provide that for my customers, who then have to provide that to their customers. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about citizenship, because, that's another important aspect in these two industries. Not only are you a part of two great businesses, but you're also part of a community. What does it mean to you, as someone in two great industries, as well as a proud resident of Florida, to be a good citizen?
I am a proud resident of Florida. Now, I grew up in Georgia, but I do love the state of Florida. And happy to have been there for longer now. I've lived in Florida longer now than I had lived in Georgia. Obviously, when you think about citizenship, I think, obviously people think about the traditional sense of citizenship means like to obey the laws, to vote, those kinds of things. But I think being a good citizen is also about, being a good, like you mentioned it, Matt, you hit the nail on the head. It's about being a part of a community, right?
Exactly.
It's about being a good and useful member of whatever community that you're in, right? So
exactly.
If I think about like me currently living in Florida in the neighborhood that I live in, well, you know what? I have friends in my neighborhood that have different political views than me. They have different religious views than me. They have different ways of life. They have different philosophies of life than I do, right?
Exactly.
But I have great relationships with those people because it's important to me to be a good member of that community and to care about the people that I live in around and with. When we're all working together to try to create a great community, I think everybody has to do their part to be a good citizen, right? And again, that happens in my current industry as well, in the furniture industry, right? Because the specific division that I work in is the motion division. That's reclining furniture, right? We have another person another marketing specialist that works in the stationery division, and we have another one that works in like bedroom and the dining room division, and we have another one that works in the mattress, right? When we go into an account, we all have to work together. We have to be good citizens of our team, right? Of our community, of our furniture industry. And we have to make sure that we're always doing the right thing by our dealers, which means we have to work together as a team and make sure that so what it means is I'm not just going in and only caring about selling the one division that I'm a part of, right?
Right.
But I'm trying to help my teammates as well. We're trying to all be successful at the same time. So there's not a lot of room for selfishness. We all have to be a part of this group. We all have to be good citizens of the group. We have to care about each other, and we have to understand that when we all work together, then we all have greater success.
Yeah, that's a great way to conclude this. I'll tell you what, but we're about out of time, but it was great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us, Joel Red.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It's great to talk to you, and really, honestly, I'm just really proud of everything that you're doing, man, and just honored that you asked me or you thought of me to to come on and speak with you today. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. And always remember, everyone can be a phoenix.